Welcome to Fun to Be Fit Over 50, real health and wellness that fits your real life. My name is Carol Denman, and this is where knowledge meets action. You already know what to do. Now let's talk about actually doing it. Welcome back to Fun to Be Fit Over 50. I'm your host, Carol Denman, and today I'm bringing you a conversation with someone I love like family. For over 2 decades, Mary Buckley has been one of my dearest friends. She's like a sister to me. And here's what I want you to understand about Mary. For years in California, she worked as a massage therapist, a holistic health practitioner, and a sports nutritionist, right alongside me at my gym in Health Spa in San Diego. She spent countless hours with clients, helping them heal, guiding them towards better health, and building a deep well of knowledge that she's never stopped adding to. She doesn't practice professionally anymore, but she's never stopped studying, never stopped learning, never stopped questioning how we could live better, cleaner, more intentionally. Mary is one of those people who reads, researches, and digs deeper simply because she can't help herself. It's who she is. So when she speaks about health, about toxins, about what our bodies truly need, it comes from years of hands-on experience and decades of passionate curiosity. After raising their kids in San Diego, Mary and her husband looked at each other and asked a question that would change everything. What are we staying for? So they left. They traded the noise of the city for the silence of the mountains. They traded convenience for intention, and they built something extraordinary, literally with their own hands, on 40 acres of land off-grid in Idaho. Solar panels, a root cellar, garden boxes that water from the bottom up, a wood-burning cook stove that can heat the entire house. But here's what moves me most. As a child, Mary was sickly, round after round of antibiotics, constant illness. Somewhere along the way, she quietly believed she might not live to see an old age. Today, in her late 50s, she's on no medications, no chronic illness, just strength, just vitality, just the quiet confidence of someone who's taken her health into her own hands and never let go. She says something in this interview that stopped me cold. I used to never see myself as an old person. Now I can totally see living into my 90s. That's what happens when you build a life that feeds the body and your soul. So get comfortable, pour yourself something warm, and join me for a conversation with my dear friend Mary Buckley, a woman who proves that it's never too late to become who you were always meant to be. Let's dive in. Inspired you and your husband to move from sunny San Diego to live off-grid in Idaho?
That's a great question. So I was never a fan of being a city girl, even though I was born and raised in the city. Um, I I just always was drawn to the country, and my husband was as well. He was born in upstate New York, so he grew up in the country. And when our kids were, almost grown and starting to say they were not going to settle in California as well, they had other plans for other areas of the country. Um, we looked at each other and we're like, What are we staying for?" So
Yeah.
we started researching, and we had a lot of things that we were looking for from, being from California. We wanted a lot of sunshine and, good quality air and water and crime rates and, just a lot of things. So we found what worked for us, what we were looking for in Idaho, about an hour outside of the city of Boise. And we loved it. We flew out here and took a look around. We had like 30 properties we wanted to look at and just fell in love with the area. And so we were going to actually build, and then we ended up buying a house on 5 acres in a neighborhood. So, which was a good transition, because if I had gone right from the city to um, off grid, that would have been difficult.
Oh, can only imagine. Yes.
Yeah. So we transitioned and met a lot of people. We wanted to learn the ways, the more country ways and the more Idaho ways and stuff like that. So it was good that we took that transition step for a few years. But then we knew that wasn't where we wanted to settle in a neighborhood, even though we are on 5 acres and everybody was spaced out. So I kept looking for property and found a piece of property not too far from where we were living that was 40 acres. And we just fell in love with it. So we bought that property and we bought it 6 years ago. And we've just been every year, I'm in Idaho, right? So we get in the mountains of Idaho. So we get feet of snow per year. So you can only work on a property in the late spring or summer and early fall. You have to take a break in the winter. So during the, summer season, we would come up here and work and we took out trees and we put in a well and what else did we do? Yeah, we had a lot of grading to do and put in we knew we wanted to use solar panels. So we got that established, the solar panels and batteries and generator, all that kind of stuff. So then we just started, we just built, it's been a year and a half that we've been living here now. So we
That's
just,
right.
yeah.
That's
So
awesome. So for
we've
our
had,
viewers like that might picture off grid as like roughing it, how would you describe your daily life and what does a typical day look like for you now?
I wouldn't say we're repping it. I'd say it's a very different lifestyle. But we have a gorgeous house. It's not quite finished yet. I don't know if you can see the trim around the door, like the door is not stained yet. There's no doorknob in the door yet. So we're still working on it. Luckily, we had a builder that let us do a lot of the work ourselves. So we're doing all the finished work ourselves, and that's, evenings and weekends and summer and stuff like that. Um, but let's see, an average day.
Feel like maybe because you've been doing this for a while, you probably don't even, I can only assume you probably don't even look at your lifestyle as anything different. It's probably so a part of who you are now.
Right.
But like when I say like, because I've seen photos of your house and I saw the process that you put together, like building that house and stuff. The things that I love about it is like your root cellar and like the way you have this ability to like put softness and coziness into your house. Even,
Well,
I just love it. So like I don't know, maybe just give us a picture of like what does your home look like? I'm going to show photos, but just kind of describe
okay.
it for us.
Okay, fair enough. Um, yeah, okay, well, what I was going for, and it's a custom built home, obviously, was big house features, nice luxury features in the smallest footprint possible because, we have no HVAC system. We're off grid. So that what off grid means is not tied to any utilities, that you're completely dependent upon. So we do have solar panels, batteries, and a generator. With that, we have a backup propane tank. So we have to buy propane. And then our internet is Starlink. So again, we're not wired into anything outside of our property. So we have Starlink for internet and in our phone is just over Wi-Fi because we don't even have cellular here. So when we're too far out in the yard away from the house, we don't get phone calls, which is kind of
Oh,
nice. We can turn
yeah.
that took me a while to get used to being from San Diego. But yeah, so we're not wired to anything, but we were looking for big house features in it. We didn't want to be the typical what people think of off grid, like a little 200 square foot shack or something like that. We still
Right.
wanted a nice house, a nice home. So I looked through a bunch of floor plans and I finally found one where we're trying to take in all the views and stuff because we have a lot of views here and wanted a lot of windows. I started with a 3 bedroom, 2 bath floor plan and changed it tremendously to a 1 bedroom with an office and a large pantry room and changed the bathroom to a 1.5 bath and put stairs in, put a root cellar underneath the pantry, which was a bedroom. And yeah, so that's what it is. So it's equivalent to like a 3-2, but it's really 1.5.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. So, can you explain for those that aren't familiar with a root cellar? Can you explain what that is and like why you decided to put one of those in and like
Sure, sure. So yeah, in fact, our builder didn't even know what a root cellar was, and the architect didn't know what a root cellar was. I'm like, come on, you guys are from Idaho. Seriously?
I didn't know what a root cellar was until you told me what it was.
So a root cellar, everybody had a root cellar back in the day. And that is, it's a room that a lot of people have them like in the side of a hill where it's earthed on maybe three sides and a little earth over the top. Basically, it's utilizing the coolness from the earth, and you also have to have airflow in there. So we have a vent coming in, capturing the northern airflow coming in to cool things down. That
Okay.
comes into the bottom, and then there's an exit vent where the hot air goes out up on the top. So it keeps the ventilation going because you don't want it to get too dry or too moist in there.
Hmm.
And you want to have airflow. But it's back in the day, it's where everybody kept it was kind of like a refrigerator without refrigeration.
Okay.
That's where you kept your root vegetables. That's why it was called a root cellar. The farmers would grow their potatoes and their onions and their carrots and their apples and stuff like that. And then they would store them in the root cellar because it was a cool, dark place, almost like refrigeration, and that would keep the root vegetables or the vegetables through the winter. And that's where they put their canning jars as well, because again, it's a cool, dark place to keep that. So
Love it. Okay, the other thing I want to have you share with people too is you're very mindful about chemicals in building material in well in anything. You're very mindful of that. In building materials and your food, how did this awareness shape the way you built your home? And how do you think your physical health has benefited from living in that environment?
I think my health has benefited tremendously. I wish we could have done a little bit more natural fibers, but we couldn't on on our main floor, because we have a wood boiler, which most people probably don't know what that is. A wood boiler is something that I know a lot of people have heard of a boiler. So it's about 300 feet from our house. It's big, almost like an outhouse, even bigger. And we stuff it with wood once a day in the colder months. And it's burning constantly, and then it's heating up water that goes to PEX line pipes that are underneath of our floor because we have a crawl space. So the PEX line pipes have the warm water flowing underneath the floor, and that's what heats up the house. It's radiant floor heating. So you cannot have a natural wood floor, which is really what I wanted, with that, because it'll dry it out too much. So we did have to go with a synthetic, like an LVP floor that looks like wood. But so that, but the rest of the fibers and stuff, yeah, we did a lot of wood accents. We're gonna do more wood accents coming, accented walls and stuff. We did wood on most of our ceilings. We did slate tile, which is a natural, you know, element in our whole laundry room, mudroom, master bathroom. Um, so yeah, just as much natural as we could with the wood and the slate, to bring in those natural fibers.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's great.
So we also, if you don't mind, if I can just expand,
Yeah.
because we have a wood boiler, that's our main heat source. But if anything were to ever happen there, because we can get down to 0 or below 0 here, we we backed that up with having an old fashioned wood cook stove in the house. So which I have used. So it has an oven and then the top part like a stove. So that it's just a wood stove with the firebox on one side and the oven on the other side and the stove top. So that can heat the whole house. We usually use that in um, fall or spring when we don't need as much warmth, and we can just heat it up, in the morning kind of thing, or in the evening before we go to bed. And then we back that up again with a gas fireplace. because it's just another way to heat the house, easy, quick kind of thing. So we have three heat sources. We didn't need air conditioning at all because the sun goes behind the hill by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which up here, 5, 6, 7 in the summer is the hottest part of the day. So
Oh,
we don't get that. We get a nice breeze that comes down the canyon. So we literally do not need air conditioning, and we don't have air conditioning. So yeah.
that's great.
Is.
That's awesome. So, you've shown me your garden boxes. I'm fascinated with them. I just love all the research you do on this type of stuff. It's fascinating to me. And so with that, what are you most proud of with the projects that you've done around your home? Like, I know you got the mill, you've got so many things that you've done around there. Like, what is the thing you're most proud of?
Mm, gosh, that's a tough one. Probably the garden boxes are the most unique. And I have to credit my husband with that. We, a lot of over the years, maybe the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, we watched a lot of YouTube videos, which is a great way to educate yourself if you're interested at all in the off-grid lifestyle. And there's many different facets to off-grid, and there's many different levels of living off-grid and ways to do it. So we found this video on wicking beds. They're called wicking beds for the garden beds. And what it is basically is instead of watering from the top, you're watering from the bottom. So you put a pond liner in the bottom of the garden boxes, and you have this reservoir. And it's more complicated than that, but you have this reservoir of water. So it waters from the bottom. So the roots are looking for the water. So it actually helps the plants grow hardier, stronger, bigger, faster. Um, so that's, I don't know. To me, our garden grew so, and we only have part of it done. We don't have the whole thing done yet. So our vegetables grew way bigger, way better, way faster than we've ever experienced before. So
Ah,
it was kind of a cool
awesome.
thing. And then my husband built all that. He's a sit behind a desk guy for work all day, but evenings and weekends, like he's learned to be quite the carpenter, which is really neat. But then he built a structure that goes over the garden beds because we are watering from the bottom. We didn't want the
Uh-huh.
rainwater coming down from the top, because we only
Overwater.
have to fill up that reservoir like once a week. So we could still take little trips and stuff in the summer, not have anything, electrical, sprinklers or anything like that. Everything is manual. And you can still leave for a week or so and nothing's going to happen to your garden. We didn't want the water from the top, from the rain or the snow in the winter either. So he
Mm.
built the structure over it with clear roof, to keep the snow and the rain off of it, which is really kind of nice because it also keeps the frost off of it. So it's going to lengthen our growing season. In the spring we can start sooner, and in the fall we can go longer. In fact, I just picked radishes a few weeks ago out of our garden that we still had, and that was in December. So
Wow.
yeah, and we
That's
could, if
awesome.
we want, we could wrap it with plastic and make it into like a greenhouse or something. We may decide to do that. I don't know. We kind of want to build a separate greenhouse, but we'll see.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's always
Uh,
evolving.
yeah, that's awesome. So moving away from like conventional groceries means that you've taken control of your food source. How has growing and processing your own food changed your relationship with diet and nutrition?
A lot. But I have to say it's been an evolving process too. Um, but a lot because you know you, there's nothing like growing your own food if you can do that. I know not everybody can do that, but if you can do that, there's nothing like growing your own food. Watching it grow and nurturing it. It's so relaxing. It's just such a relaxing thing to actually. In fact, they there's like I think they're called victory gardens or something, or some kind of gardens that they do for um military that have PTSD because it is such a relaxing thing to help with
Mhm.
anxiety and stuff. So That's kind of a cool aspect. But the taste is so much different, and you know where your food's coming from. I'm sure you're the same way, Carol. Is in the last handful of years, you go to the store and you don't know, even if it says organic, you don't know what the coatings are on it.
Mm-mm.
There's all kinds of this Franken coating stuff that they put on fruits and vegetables now, and
Yeah.
it's like plain roulette. It's just you're taking a chance, and so we're just trying to grow and harvest as much as we can. A few years ago, we harvested our first elk and on our property, which was really neat. We did the whole thing ourselves. So we, butchered it all, packaged it up and all that kind of stuff. That was a neat learning experience. Again, YouTube is a great source. That's how we learned how to do all this stuff.
Oh,
And
that's great.
so you know where your meat's coming from. Since then we've bought meat from ranchers that we trust so that we know
Mhm.
we're getting grass-fed organic meat that's not
Mhm.
full of, you know, stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
I'd say it's
awesome.
it's changed a lot. And we feel better. We're
Yeah.
almost 60 years old. We're not on any medications. We get sick maybe once every 5 or 8 years with a cold. I mean, it's just that's a different lifestyle. It's a different way to live. We get a cold maybe once every 5 or 10 years. Um, we just don't really get sick. We don't go to a Western medical doctor. Neither of us have been to a Western medical doctor in over 10 years, maybe 12 years. I don't know. Um, We just don't. There's so many holistic things that you can do, and to me, that's the fun part of learning holistic stuff.
Mhm.
I'm a fun for that, listening to podcasts all the time, or reading books all the time, and reading articles on the internet all the time, and
Mhm.
I will go to a chiropractor. I go to a nutritionist. I'll go get colonics done. So there's a lot of natural things that you can do to prevent the illness and to prevent all the stuff that, I'll get ultrasounds, breast ultrasounds and thermography. Yeah, but we don't go to Western medical.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, our bodies are they're amazing. I mean, on their own, and if we just nurture them and
Yeah,
nourish them, you know,
exactly. Yeah.
it yeah, I love that.
I like to say God doesn't make junk.
No,
But
absolutely not.
but we put a lot of junk in our bodies and on our bodies, which stresses our bodies and makes them not work as efficiently. So to be mindful of what we put in here and what we put on here
Mhm.
um, is key, really. Even clothes, right? I've started switching more to I don't know if this is what you want to talk about, but I started switching more to
I love it. I love
like
it.
this is wool. This is 100% merino wool. And it has I don't know if you know anything about it. It has a frequency, like a 500 megahertz frequency, whereas
Yeah.
like polyester and rayon and stuff like that, they have like zero. Cotton, I think organic cotton has 100 megahertz frequency, and regular cotton has like 80 megahertz frequency. Linen also has 500 megahertz frequency. And what that means in a nutshell is everything in our world is frequency, right? Our body is energetic. Um, and the higher your vibration is, the higher your frequency, the stronger you are, the stronger your immune system is. So when you put things like sugar and alcohol and, seed oils and all that kind of crap in your body, it lowers that frequency. And when
Mm.
you wear polyester, rayon, synthetic materials, it also lowers that frequency. All the microplastics that we're getting in our diet, and putting on our bodies and stuff. I used to wear like yoga pants that were all plastic, right? For years.
Mhm.
And all
Mhm.
those little microplastics get into your skin. They absorb through your skin, and
Yeah.
it makes a difference on your health. So I'm trying to slowly transition us over. You can't totally buy a new wardrobe overnight, but we're working on that.
Yeah, I love it. I love you inspire me with this type of thing. You always have. I mean, I know you've learned more and more over the decades we've known each other, but like even if I look back to us meeting each other 25 years ago, the difference in the way I view things because of your influence on, because your knowledge of it. And then also, you told me before, like you were like a sickly child, and
Hmm.
that made you had to be really aware of your health and things, right?
I was a very sickly child. I would get sick like every 3 or 4 weeks. I would do probably a round of antibiotics every single month, which, for years. So I probably did at least 100 rounds of antibiotics, in my childhood and early teens. And so that was motivation. Plus, I worked in a pharmacy for a while. I was a pharmacy tech. Um, and seeing all those sick people and being sick myself. So I did the Western medicine route, right? Every time I got sick, I did the allergy shots, I did the antibiotics, um, went to the doctor quite a bit as a child. So I, I I know what that's like. So I'm not speaking from no experience there. Been there, done that. I choose not to. So I've consciously made choices to make sure that I don't continue that type of lifestyle.
Right.
Um, yeah. So,
I love it.
and I'm
It's
constantly
very
learning,
inspiring.
learning and searching, because as we get older, things do start to wear out and things do
Mhm.
start to change. And, our diet makes a huge difference on that. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an evolving process. And Carol, you played a big role in that too. You've been a big influence to me as well. When I first started working at Fend to Be Fit, what was that? I don't know, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, something like that. Um, I'm like, wow, this girl, she's really disciplined. I need to kick it up. But no, you inspired me a lot and influenced me a lot. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And as you were talking about the plastic pants I'm wearing, wearing plastic pants and a plastic shirt. But it does make me more mindful. Like just even you saying that, now I'm going to be like, okay, I need to start looking at a different alternative and, things like that. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
awesome.
and they're out
Yeah.
there. I find that if you spend more money and buy the better quality, good fabrics, you know, just have less of them. They last so much longer anyway.
Yeah.
You don't need the variety. They last forever, and um, so you can get by on a lot less, but better quality. So you're not
Yeah.
really spending more if you think of it like that,
Quality over quantity.
over quantity. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, so living the way that you're living right now requires a lot of physical activity with like the building, the gardening, the milling. Do you think that of this as your primary source of exercise, or do you have a specific workout routine?
Carol, if I'm lazy. I'm not a big fan of working out, and I'm trying to change that. But yeah, we do get a lot of exercise on the property. We have 2 dogs that, if you're wanting motivation to exercise more, get some dogs because they need to go out and they need to be exercised. So we walk the dogs, we hike with the dogs. So that is a lot of exercise in itself. Again, like our boiler's 300 feet downhill from our house. We have to fill it every day. So could we drive down there? Yes. Do we if it's raining and snowing? A lot of times, yes. But if it's nice weather out, even if there's snow on the ground, we'll put our boots on and we'll hike down the hill, hike back up the hill, to do that and feed the chickens and such. And that way it's more exercise for us. So
Hmm.
yeah, I get in a lot of exercise just from manually doing things around the house and the yard and stuff, moving rocks. We have rocks everywhere. We literally live in the Rocky Mountains. So thank goodness for tractors. But we move a lot by hand as well, and that's good exercise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think probably coming from like living in a traditional house in San Diego and going to a gym, you worked at my gym for years, working out with gym equipment for years. Probably computing that to like now your daily living, just living in your house is actually physical activity. To actually compute that, is probably a little bit, probably even you're still transitioning, trying to figure that out for yourself. But
Yeah, we're still trying to figure that out, and the whole build was really stressful on me, so it's just kind of took some time to just reflect and relax. So now I'm really getting into, okay, let's get into life. What's life going to look like? So I am
I love it.
exercising more. I've got a total gym to use in the house, and some hand weights and stuff like that. And you could do a lot with your body weight as well, right? Planks, push-ups, sit-ups, all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
that's beginning.
That's great. Love it. So what is the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself since making this life change after the age of 50?
Hmm. Most surprising thing. Um, I don't know if this is a good answer or not, but I used to never, because I was a sickly child, I never saw myself as an old person. Like, I just didn't think I would last that long, you know? I
Oh,
thought maybe I would die in my 40s, 50s, 60s, something like that. Um, Now I could totally see living into my 90s. Like, so I guess shifting that mindset and um, changing my body and living healthier and, getting rid of the chemicals and that kind of stuff, being mindful of all that kind of stuff. It's, I guess, given me hope or vision, um, that yes, I can totally change my body, my health, and I can live a long, prosperous, happy, you know, life. Oh,
awesome. Love that. Yeah, I had no idea that you ever felt like that about yourself. That's amazing that you've turned that around, but that's awesome.
yeah, I mean, I just had so many challenges as a child and even a teenager that health-wise. So, thankfully, thank the Lord, that's changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Wonderful. Okay. So for our viewers who are inspired but might feel it's a little too late or too daunting to make a big change, what's one small, manageable step they could take towards a healthier, more mindful lifestyle?
Oh gosh, there's so many, but just take a step, really. And then once you take a step, you can take a second step. Don't try to do it all at once. That's too overwhelming. But if you're not eating organic, start eating organic, at least on what's called the dirty dozen. And you can look that up online what that is. It's a dozen fruits and vegetables that are really crucial that you get organically because they have such soft skin that the pesticides and herbicides penetrate the skin so much you can't wash them off. Um, so there's, at least those. Start eating organic. If you're already eating organic, maybe cook at home more with whole foods. Try to get away from things in boxes, getting away from things in cans. If your great grandparents didn't recognize it, don't eat it. What did they eat? They ate, the meat that they harvested, and they ate the vegetables and fruit that they harvested. They didn't
Hmm.
eat prepared stuff that came out of a box or a bag or anything like that. Seed oils is another huge one. Oh, it's so inflammatory and so bad for you. And, here, what, 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we were told, yeah, eat seed oils. That's better for your heart. Oh, it's terrible for you. So, getting away from, the safflower oil, the sunflower oil, the canola oil, all the seed oils, and cooking with, tallow and real grass-fed butter and, um, coconut oil, 100% avocado oil, getting the natural fats, cooking with the natural fats. Even I'm not a big fan of eating pig, but even bacon grease is better than seed oils to cook with.
Hmm.
So it's getting back to nature. It's what God gave us, the plants and the animals that God gave us to utilize. It's if it ingredient has something, and I know you've said this, Carol, if you can't pronounce it, put it back on the shelf. You don't want it. You don't want to put it in your body. So just turn everything over and look at the ingredient list. If you don't know what things are, you don't want it in your body. So just start
Totally.
small there, then take another step. And once you've mastered that, then take another step. And before you know it, it's just a lifestyle that you're doing. You don't have to think about it. It's not, it's not difficult.
I love everything you said. That's awesome. So good. Love it.
Yeah. Just take the first step. You won't regret it. And your health, you'll start to see that, especially getting rid of the seed oils and all that processed junk. Your inflammation will go down and you'll feel better. You'll have more energy. When you have more energy, then you'll feel like taking another step, you know. Water, if you're living in the city, make sure you have a good filter on your water, and you don't necessarily want to do the bottled water because that's full of microplastics as well. So get a good filtration system, a whole house filtration system if you can. If you can't do that, excuse me, put one on your kitchen sink and put one on your showers because everything we take into our skin, lotions, potions, makeup, everything that has the chemicals, you're putting the chemicals and they're getting absorbed into your skin immediately. Within like 10 seconds, it gets absorbed into your bloodstream. So the shower filter is huge, because the cities, they have the chlorine and fluoride and all that crap in the water, and old antibiotics and medicines that people have dumped in the water. You're getting that in your skin and in your body, and it's bogging us down. Our livers are overloaded. I know my liver was overloaded. I, used to work around chemicals and just all the pharmaceuticals that I took as a child. My liver was very sluggish and very overloaded, and it's so much better, and I feel so much better
Oh,
now.
that's
You know,
wonderful. That's great.
so that's just a few things you can do. There's hundreds.
So looking ahead, what's your next project, or do you have any goals or anything you're working on?
Oh, we have a ton. Yeah, I mean, we're still like obviously finishing the house and we have all the landscaping to do and stuff. We want to build a wood burning sauna outside so that we
Mhm.
can go out there and, have the wood stove in there and stuff and sit and sweat. Because sweat, again, if you can get into a sauna, far infrared or near infrared is the best, really. But any kind of sauna where you're sweating, that's a detoxification thing that you can do. Because you can put all the nutrition you want into your body, or you can do all the cleanses that you want, or the parasite cleansers, or whatever. But if your detox pathways are not open and working good, you're almost going to feel worse. It's just because you're going to have the parasite die off and your cells aren't going to receive the nutrition and stuff. So it's real important to keep your, sweat. Get outside and work, sweat. It's really good. Or go in a sauna and sweat, or take a hot bath and sweat. Um, and or go do colonics. Colonics are a great way to clean out your colon so that that pathway is open. You want your skin open, your colon open. You want to breathe, deep breathing, so you're expelling toxins through your breath, and um, you want all these pathways open so that when you're putting the good nutrition in, it actually gets into the cells and does its
Mhm.
work, and you don't
I love
feel
that.
the die off and get that
Right.
flu kind of feeling from, detoxing and stuff because it's important to get it out.
Okay. I love that.
So, so we're doing a sauna. What else are we doing? We want to build a bigger chicken coop. We want to raise, right now we've got some layers and we want to raise meat chickens as well as layers. And we want to maybe get some peacocks. So that means constructing a huge coop and a huge, because we've got lots of birds and stuff, right? So, and animals, predator animals. So we have to have them completely enclosed in a huge run.
Right.
and finishing our garden, expanding that, maybe building a greenhouse. But and improving our health. We're working, both my husband and I are working really hard right now on improving our health, our diet, our exercise. Um, yeah, so lots of goals. I think if you don't have goals, you're like you kind of lose some hope, you know? Your goals give you inspiration to strive for more and to try and to, I don't know, you're either growing or you're dying. So you get to choose.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love that. How do you define fitness and wellness at this stage of your life?
That's a good question. Um, eh, how you feel really in your health, your immune system, your how do you handle stress? How do you feel? How's your blood work come out? Um, are you as active and as what's the word I'm looking for? Flexible as you want to be, you know. You should be active, flexible, you have strength, be able to do whatever you want to do. Your blood work should be good. You should feel good.
Oh,
I don't really care what the scale says or what you look like, but that will also reflect it's all together.
hmm
But it's how you feel, your energy levels, your skin, your just everything. Um,
hmm I love it. Like the whole person, you're looking at everything.
yeah, yeah, looking at
hmm
everything.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
All right. And last question. What does fun to be fit over 50 mean to you?
It truly is fun to be fit. Like you can I don't want to be let's see, how do I say this without offending anyone? Um, I want to be flexible. I want to feel good in my own body. I want to have fun and enjoy life. Um, I don't want to be on medications. To me that's fun if I'm experiencing all that and then I can go out and I can work in my yard if I want to. I can travel if I want to. I can play with my dogs if I want to. That's fun. I'm getting to choose and live the life that I want to. Um, and I'm definitely over 50. And yeah, and I love that you created this group, Fun to Be Fit Over 50 for women. And it's so great to be around so many like-minded women who are fun to be around and are fit
Mhm.
and are, we're all conscious of bettering ourselves, and
Yeah,
taking care of ourselves. So I guess that's what it means to me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Mary. I admire you so much. And I just love watching your journey. And it's a continuous improving journey. And it's been amazing to watch. And thank you so much for taking the time to share a
Oh,
bit of your life with all of us.
thank you. Thank you for this interview, Carol. I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Before we go, I want to share something important. This podcast is all about sharing real life experiences, insights, and inspiration, but it's not a substitute for professional medical advice. I'm your cheerleader and fellow traveler on this journey, not your doctor. Everyone's body is different. What works for me or my guest might not be right for you. So please always check with your healthcare provider before starting any new fitness routine, changing up your eating habits, or trying something new. You know your body best, and partnering with a good doctor is part of taking care of that beautiful body of yours. This show is for educational and informational purposes only. By listening, you agree that you're ultimately responsible for your own health decisions. Now go out there and have some fun being fit.